20 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash inside a Paris tunnel.
The marriage between Prince Charles and Princess Diana was one of the most sensational royal marriages in history. What started with a beautiful wedding ceremony soon ended with one of the nastiest royal breakups ever.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were three of us in this marriage.
At the time of the separation, people had different opinions on who was to blame for the discord in the union. Finally, new details about their marriage have come to light. What really led to the breakup of this royal family? Whose fault was it? Prince Charles's or Princess Diana's? Join us as we explore the shocking discoveries surrounding the marriage and separation of the union.
The world is too little aware of the waste of life, limb.
The separation and divorce. In 1981, the world watched as Lady Diana Spencer and Prince Charles tied the knot in what seemed like a real-life classic fairy tale. From the beginning to the end, this marriage was a story of love, betrayal, and tragedy that would forever change the British royal family. Just 11 years after this momentous day, the couple decided to part. Their divorce was one of the most publicized royal marriages the world has ever seen. Between 1992 and 1996, when the divorce was finalized, the world witnessed a glimpse of the tension that had been going on between the royal couple. In 1995, Princess Diana gave a tell-all interview with the BBC, admitting some shocking details about her marriage to King Charles.
It's just a feeling of being no good at anything and being useless and hopeless. It was already difficult, but it became increasingly difficult.
To this day, that interview is still rated as the most famous interview on the BBC. Keep watching as we dive into the details. The interview was an intense conversation conducted by the British journalist Martin Bashir. It contained explosive revelations from Princess Diana as she spoke at length about the state of her marriage to Prince Charles. She spoke of her early expectations of her marriage to Prince Charles and how she desperately wanted it to work in light of her parents' divorce. As a young lady, being suddenly cast into the role of wife to a future king came with immense responsibilities. She was a young girl who had led a relatively private life and is now constantly in the spotlight, with paparazzi picking up on the slightest gesture. Princess Diana said that she found it overwhelming and that she felt enormous relief when she got pregnant with William, because it gave her something else to focus on. One of the happiest milestones for the couple was the birth of their two sons, Prince Williams and Prince Harry. Prince Williams was born on the 21st of June, 1982. It was a joyful day. From the first moment of his life, he was destined to be a future king. Princess Diana, then 20 years old, had scaled through the challenges of her early pregnancy under immense media scrutiny. Despite her young age and the pressures of royal life, she was determined to break away from traditional royal parenting norms, aiming to provide her children with a sense of warmth and normalcy that she felt was lacking in Charles's upbringing. For some time, the royal couple had a fighting chance at making their marriage work. Prince Charles was fully involved in the pregnancy and birthing process and remained at his wife's side the whole time she gave birth. His show of support and acknowledgement for the unusual experience of giving birth was one of the times he showed his devotion and compassion for his wife. It was also one of the times he didn't care about following the custom of how a royal father was supposed to behave at the birth of his son. Traditionally, royal fathers were to remain detached from the birthing process, but Charles opted to be present in the delivery room at St. Mary's Hospital in London. Diana appreciated his support during the delivery, and their shared joy at welcoming their firstborn momentarily bridged the emotional distance growing between them. However, soon after giving birth, she suffered from severe postnatal depression, which led her to be tagged by others as unstable and mentally unbalanced. This depression spiraled into dark days of self-harming, but the worst was yet to come. Princess Diana had begun to notice a closeness between her husband and his long-term friend, Camilla Parker Bowler, which didn't seem platonic at all. Princess Diana knew her husband, Prince Charles, had a relationship with Camilla Parker Bowler in the past, but she and everyone else thought it was over. Little did she know the relationship carried on all through her marriage. Finding out Charles never really stopped loving Camilla was too much for Diana to bear. Her mental health deteriorated, and during the famous interview, Princess Diana said that there were 3 of them in the marriage, so it was a bit crowded and she had to leave. All these troubles were a lot to take in. People only ever saw the happy side she worked so hard to show the world, hoping things would improve in her marriage. The BBC interview showed Diana's vulnerable side, which many people saw for the first time, something that was not usual in the royal family. She also revealed that she doesn't think that she has ever been loved and fully accepted by her husband, or that she would have ever been queen. One could see a woman struggling with the betrayal and the heartache of a broken marriage. In the UK alone, the interview was watched by nearly 23 million viewers. The worldwide audience was estimated at 200 million across 100 countries. The views were so great that the UK National Grid reported a 1,000 MW surge in power demand after the program. It was the interview of the century. One remarkable thing about Princess Diana was that despite the toll Charles's infidelity and other marital issues took on her, she always stood up for herself. According to Princess Diana, at a point when she was trying to revive the dying flames of their marriage, she decided to confront Camilla at a party hosted by Camilla's sister, Annabel Elliot. Annabel had sent her an invitation as a courtesy, but no one expected her to show up, as she must have known Camilla was likely to be in attendance. However, to everyone's astonishment, she showed up. She would later look back on what she did that night as the bravest thing she ever did during her entire marriage. The room fell silent as she stepped through the venue's doors. Heads turned in a wave of whispers, her name passing from one incredulous guest to another. It was as though the air thickened with tension, yet she remained unperturbed, commanding the space as though it were hers all along. After some time had passed at the event, she noticed her husband, Prince Charles, was nowhere to be found. Curiously, Camilla was nowhere in sight, too. She and her bodyguard started looking for the 2 of them. Soon, they found the prince and Camilla sitting on a sofa in the basement of this property, just talking. Diana had had enough. Squaring her shoulders, she boldly confronted Camilla for the first time since she learned about her affair with Prince Charles. All conversation around them quieted as all eyes turned to them. It was almost as if Camilla had also been expecting a confrontation. She gave a quick retort that hinted that the affair would continue, despite Diana's knowledge of it. Stunned to silence, Princess Diana realized this was it. The end of this marriage was near. While Prince Charles's affair was more publicized, Princess Diana was no blameless partner. In a video recording that was screened briefly only in the US, she admitted that she also had affairs during her marriage to Prince Charles. One of the men she was romantically involved with was Barry Manicky. Barry was a police officer with the Royal Protection Squad. He was assigned to Princess Diana's escort. Princess Diana said Barry was one of the people that made life in the palace bearable. Princess Diana admitted that she felt a deep connection with Barry to the point that she contemplated eloping with him and leaving the overwhelming palace life behind. Sadly, Barry Manicky died in a road traffic accident in 1987. At the time of his death, it was ruled out as an accident. However, in the video recording, Princess Diana believed Barry Manicky's death might not have been an accident. In her words, he was chucked out. How did this man really die? Mr. Manicky's death is being reinvestigated as a result of the tape. After his death, Diana usually visited the area where his ashes were scattered and laid flowers in memory of him. Another person involved in a scandalous affair with Princess Diana during her marriage to Prince Charles was James Hewitt. According to Hewitt, his affair with Princess Diana was a love story. In his memoir, Love and War, he said, "Only one thing went wrong. We fell in love." Hewitt's path crossed with Diana's at a party thrown by Diana's lady-in-waiting, Hazel West, in 1986. There was initial attraction, but the two fell in love over the course of giving the princess riding lessons. Within months, the press got wind of their affair. Their relationship was said to span 5 years, between 1986 and 1991.
About their 5-year relationship, the repercussions of the affair, which spanned 1986 to 1991.
They would exchange love letters even while Hewitt was away at the Persian Gulf War. When asked if the relationship happened, Diana admitted that it did. The two apparently broke up during or shortly after the Persian Gulf War. A sensational rumor about that relationship had been passed around for a long time. Could James Hewitt be the biological father of Prince Harry, Diana's son? Ever since the news broke about their scandalous affair, many have wondered about the true parentage of Prince Harry. The main reason for this doubt is the similarity between Prince Harry and James Hewitt. Both of them share the same red hair. Prince Harry finally clarified the heir in his memoir, Spare. He said, "One cause of the rumor was Major Hewitt's red hair, but another was sadism." Tabloid readers loved the idea that Prince Charles's youngest son was not Prince Charles's son. Also, according to the timeline of the affair, Hewitt and Princess Diana didn't cross paths until after the birth of Prince Harry. The birth of Prince Harry on September 15, 1984, was another significant moment in the royal couple's life, but it also brought to the forefront underlying issues in their marriage. Princess Diana had expressed hope that her second pregnancy would bring her and Charles closer, but instead, it highlighted their differences. Unlike William's birth, where Charles appeared deeply involved and excited, his reaction to Harry's arrival was notably muted. Reports suggest that Charles was visibly disappointed when he learned Harry was a boy, as he had allegedly hoped for a girl. Furthermore, he made a disparaging comment about Harry inheriting traits from his mother's side, particularly his red hair, which Princess Diana took as an insult to her family. This reaction hurt Diana deeply, bringing forth her feelings of isolation and emotional neglect within the marriage. The marriage and separation between Prince Charles and Princess Diana remains one of the most tragic periods in British royal history. It is a story of unmet expectations, emotional distance, and profound unhappiness. Many people are surprised that their union didn't start this way. Interestingly, there was a time when their love story was a fairy tale. How did they meet? The beginning of a fairy tale. It was 1977. Lady Diana Spencer was a 16-year-old spirited young lady visiting her family's ancestral home in Althorpe. She met Prince Charles, who was 29 years old, during his courtship with her older sister, Lady Sarah Spencer. However, the courtship with her sister, Lady Sarah, was short-lived. Sarah found both of them incompatible. She said there was no way she would have married Prince Charles, regardless of his status. Diana, still a teenager then, observed Charles's interactions with Sarah, but her natural charm, wit, and youthful energy left an impression on the prince. Prince Charles found Diana intriguing for her unassuming nature and sincerity.
When I started my public life 12 years ago, I understood.
It didn't take long for Sarah to observe the connection between them and introduce them. Princess Diana did not appear awed by his status, treating him as she would treat others, which added to her appeal in his opinion. For Diana, the meeting was transformative. She was smitten by Charles, whose worldliness and maturity contrasted with her youth. She thought this was the one man on the planet who would not divorce her. How wrong she turned out to be. However, once Prince Charles ended his courtship with Princess Diana's sister, Sarah, he drifted away from the sisters. He continued his off-and-on courtship with Camilla Parker Bowles. The two had dated in the early 70s, and Charles had intended to propose, but things didn't work out. Camilla also had an on-and-off relationship with Andrew Parker Bowles, whom she later married. Also, the royal family did not extend open arms to welcome Camilla. They didn't see her as a suitable match for Prince Charles, who could one day be the king. Charles and Camilla eventually decided to part ways, and she married Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973. In 1980, something happened that brought Princess Diana back onto Prince Charles's radar. He'd just broken up with his girlfriend, and he had just experienced a great loss. His mentor and great-uncle, Lord Louis Mountbatten, had just been assassinated. This was a man who had been a father figure to him. He had been instrumental in shaping his life and values. Princess Diana felt terrible for him about his loss and wanted to offer her condolences. They soon bonded over the loss, and Princess Diana offered him emotional support. And just like that, their courtship began. Despite their age gap, Princess Diana and Charles shared several common interests that helped bridge their differences. Both shared a deep appreciation for the arts, particularly ballet and opera. As a young lady, Diana was a keen dancer, and their love for music and cultural performances helped bridge the age gap between them.
Musically speaking, it is such a magnificent setting, and the whole acoustics is so spectacular.
Another thing that brought the two of them close was Diana's witty nature. She had a light-hearted nature that warmed Charles close to her. Charles was brought up in a very formal setting and trained in courtly manners that would be a good fit for a future king. Diana's cheerful nature was the balance he craved. Their mutual love for outdoor activities, including sports and countryside pursuits, allowed them to connect in a relaxed and unguarded environment. By the time Charles and Princess Diana began dating seriously, the world saw their union as a fairy tale in the making. Yet, even in these early days, subtle differences in their personalities and expectations hinted at future incompatibility. While Charles valued introspection and philosophical pursuits, Princess Diana sought emotional connection and security. These differences, though not insurmountable, required effort and understanding, aspects that may have been overshadowed by the overwhelming public scrutiny of their relationship. Most of their courtship took place over the phone. They only met in person 13 times before Charles proposed marriage. The moment of the proposal itself was marked with a hint of awkwardness. It lacked the warmth and spontaneity typically associated with should have been a joyous occasion. Overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, Princess Diana accepted, seeing it as a step toward fulfilling her dreams of becoming a princess. For Charles, the proposal was as much about duty as it was about personal affection. In February 1981, the happy couple shared the news of their engagement with the world. However, Princess Diana couldn't completely shake her misgivings about their relationship. An interview they had shortly after their engagement stood out in her mind. The interviewer asked the couple a loaded question. "Are you in love?" Princess Diana cheerfully responded in the affirmative, saying, "Of course we are." However, Prince Charles's response completely threw her. He responded with a nonchalance Princess Diana didn't expect from a man she was about to wed. His response was, "Whatever love means." The engagement period was a time of contrasts for Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Sweeping these events as minor issues, the couple planned their wedding. Publicly, they were celebrated as the ideal royal couple, with Diana quickly earning admiration for her charm and beauty. The press painted a picture of a fairy tale romance, feeding into the narrative of a young, innocent woman swept off her feet by a dashing prince. Privately, however, cracks in their relationship began to emerge. While they shared some moments of genuine connection, the pressures of their roles and the intense public scrutiny placed additional strain on their relationship. Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer married within 6 months of their engagement in a famously lavish royal wedding in St. Paul's Cathedral. The wedding, which was broadcast on television and seen by approximately 750 million people around the world, is still considered one of the most memorable royal weddings of all time. The early days of their marriage were a blend of public admiration and private challenges. Following William's birth, Princess Diana took on a hands-on role as a mother, emphasizing her desire to shield her son from the rigidity of royal protocols. Her insistence on breastfeeding and involvement in William's early milestones set her apart from previous royal mothers. She insisted on fully being a part of her child's upbringing, from his first steps to his early education. Charles, while supportive to an extent, often seemed preoccupied with his royal duties and personal interests, including his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, which remained a shadow over their marriage. For Diana, Harry's birth reaffirmed her role as a loving mother. She adored both her sons and made it her mission to provide them with a nurturing environment. She introduced them to experiences outside the royal bubble, from taking them to amusement parks to standing in line for McDonald's. Diana's efforts to connect with her children on a personal level were driven by her desire to break the cycle of emotional detachment she associated with royal traditions. On the other hand, Charles continued to fulfill his royal obligations, often appearing distant from the day-to-day upbringing of his sons. While he cared for them in his own way, his approach was shaped by the formality of his royal upbringing, which sometimes clashed with Diana's more hands-on, affectionate parenting style. However emotional and binding the birth of their two sons was, it was enough to mind the underlying divide between Charles and Diana. Camilla's involvement with Charles never really allowed the marriage to blossom. Princess Diana tragically passed away in a car crash in Paris on August 31, 1997. Her death left her admirers both in England and across the world in deep mourning. Prince Charles and the rest of the royal family faced harsh criticism following her death. Fresh resentment over his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles came up. Prince Charles focused on raising his sons, who were just teenagers at the time of their mother's death. However, the embers of his feelings for Camilla never went away, and after some time Prince Charles worked to rehabilitate his public image and gradually reintroduce Camilla to the public, first as a close companion, then as his new bride. Finally, after decades of romantic drama that lasted all through his marriage to Princess Diana, Prince Charles and Lady Camilla got married in a simple civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall in 2005. Queen Elizabeth II did not attend the ceremony but hosted a reception afterward, showing her tacit approval. Camilla was given the title Duchess of Cornwall rather than Princess of Wales, out of respect for Diana's legacy. Duchess Camilla has gained some public acceptance for her charitable work in the public's eye. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, King Charles ascended the throne and Camilla became Queen Consort. Though her marriage ended in heartbreak, Diana's legacy endured. She became the people's princess, known for her humanitarian work and ability to connect with others. Her tragic death only cemented her place in history as one of the most beloved figures of the 20th century. Do you believe Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage could have survived without the external influences of his affairs with Lady Camilla? Kindly share your answers, thoughts, and opinions in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel to enjoy more videos like this. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.